This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Welcome back to the channel. And you wonder why the content's been lacking the past couple days. Well, other than having that pre-game up with Patrick down there at Rogers Place, we didn't have much on that game day there. A big 5-3 victory for the Oilers, 5-goal comeback. And of course, well, guess what, too? We didn't have much yesterday other than the recap of Wednesday night. That said, because simply yesterday was a travel day, ended up going to bed about 5 o'clock yesterday and didn't wake up till 7 in the morning. So, yeah, it's kind of tough. And then today, of course, there's work on a Friday. You think I'd book a full week off kind of deal. I didn't. And now on the road, back and forth between a couple of towns today, and finally settling in to be house sitting till Wednesday. So, for the next, at least until Wednesday, I'm settled into where I'll be and what I'll be doing. We will hopefully be live for the Battle of Alberta. We'll see what the slow pitch party looks like tomorrow night and see what is going on there. I'll be going in telling them I'm leaving at 7:30, but don't tempt me with a good time. You know what? Life does come first. That is what I have kind of put the philosophy around this time around on YouTube. So we'll see what we do. We'll see what happens, and we'll see how the Oilers do tomorrow night. That said, well, tomorrow night, what are we looking like? Practice was an interesting one today, that is for sure. But before I get to that, folks, I almost forgot. I made mention of it in the recap video yesterday. At this time in a video, I normally ask you to consider hitting that subscribe button here on the channel. If you want to stay up to date along for the ride here on Dolynny TV for the Oilers season, you're more than welcome to. I'd love to have you along, and hitting subscribe is just one of those tools you can add to the toolbox to kind of go out there and be able to follow along when I post something new. That said, too, something I don't usually advertise, but I feel I need to, because man, oh man, let me tell you, watching Patrick's Oilers Fanatic post game out Rogers Place, we're up to 42 people live on a phone broadcast, and the only way that happens, I gotta theorize anyway, is notifications. So that's something I don't promote very often, so I'm gonna go out there and just maybe take a lesson from the man himself, Patrick the Oilers Fanatic, and consider hitting the notification button here on Dolynny TV as well. Was that as awkward as I thought it was going to be? Yeah, it was. It was pretty cringy. All right. Anyway, folks, let's get to it. I can hold you up as much as I want, or I can simply just pull this ahead to you and see if we can't get this up. Unfortunately, I've got my video feeds all kinds of messed around here, so let me see if I can't drag this down a little bit and see if we can't figure this one out for you. All right, if we go there, that should allow me to pull that up. Boom. All right, on the fly editing, we are good today, folks. This is old. I mean, this is 8 hours ago, so pardon me. Again, I was at work. I was going to Popeyes to get team lunch. It was one of our teammates' 10-year anniversaries on Monday, but it's always way better to do free lunch on a Friday, isn't it? I think so. Anyway, so Hyman, McDavid, Puljujarvi, Kane, Draisaitl, and Yamamoto. So this is a best case scenario lineup for the Oilers on Saturday, right? Don't read absolutely everything into this, because you've still got no full clearance on Yamamoto and Foegele, who finds himself on the line with Holloway, Nugent Hopkins, and himself. Well, like I said, right, is for the Oilers, fitting Foegele into the top 9 I don't think needs to be a priority, but you look at how this Oilers team is going to be built, and we'll get to the next segment of news here in a minute, but you kind of look at this fourth line: Malone, McLeod, and Ryan. Where's Devon Shore? Well, we've got news on that in a minute, I promise you that. But could see both Foegele and Yamamoto return to the lineup for Game 2. But it's their first game of the season, so I think that's what Jason Gregor means by Game 1. And Broberg was not on the ice today. There we go. There it is. There it is. Now you're starting to clue into what happened today, if you don't already know, which I'm guaranteeing you probably do. But again, too, hey, you know what? Wednesday night at Rogers Place was an eye-opener for me, and I appreciate you folks who do actually use me as your number one news source. That was very humbling to hear up at Rogers Place. So to you, I will continue doing what I'm doing right now and get you the news. So that is your top 12 forwards, and the only 12 forwards on the Oilers roster currently. Yeah, Devon Shore. We'll talk about him in a minute, I promise you. But again, this is a best case scenario lineup, right? I think at this point, either one of Foegele or Yamamoto will be good to go. That's why you have the Devon Shore news we're going to get to in a minute. And of course, both are more than likely ready to go. And that's why you see Kane, Draisaitl, Yamamoto reunited. And that's why Hyman, McDavid, and Puljujarvi are reunited. That's how you have the new look third line with Holloway, RNH, and Foegele. And then you have that fourth line that, based on what we saw in Game 1, should be capable of treading water, giving you minutes that don't hurt you and minutes that don't help you, and just go out there and get their shift on with and over with. And that, as an Oilers fourth line, as long as they chip in a little bit of production, is about all you can ask. That's the beauty there. So, on to why Broberg is not on the ice today. Well, folks, Philip Broberg has been recalled by the Edmonton Oilers. Yeah, in case you didn't hear that, Philip Broberg is back up with the Oilers following his first game of the season being missed due to being in the minors, but that's fine. We will see that for cap purposes, as we all knew. And of course, the Oilers roster dictated that you had to have Philip Broberg down so as you could have 11 forwards to play with for opening night, which Jay Woodcroft had an 11-6 situation. All right, the Oilers have recalled defenseman Philip Broberg from the Condors and loaned Devon Shore to the Bakersfield Condors. All right, that's your news. So that's where we really sink our teeth into this is, yes, tomorrow night's lineup that we just potentially saw from that Jason Gregor tweet from practice today is a best case scenario that Foegele and Yamamoto are both ready to go. However, that would be an indication that we will indeed be going 11-7. Why? Because you think about that lineup, I'm just going to flash it one more time, is you've got Malone, McLeod, and Ryan on that fourth line. What you more than likely are to see, if you're looking at this lineup and saying, well, Yamamoto, Foegele are back, who's the odd man out? It's Brad Malone. Obviously, quite honestly, right? And the only thing is the Oilers don't want to be down to 20 skaters on the roster. That complication and doesn't need to be there. However, Broberg will be in game action more than likely tomorrow because that just kind of figures that you're not calling up a seventh defenseman if you're not going 11-7. And that's kind of going to be Brad Malone's role on this team this year. It's weird that in most NHL seasons we've always had a 13th and 14th forward, which is what Brad Malone has served well as an Oiler moving forward, or in the past, and now moving forward, he will work as a 12th forward kind of deal, right? And I mean, the Oilers could honestly dress 12-6. That could work out, and I don't see why Jay Woodcroft wouldn't do that either. It's just more a matter of, I think, just to get Broberg his game in, and you're still probably likely to see one of Yamamoto and Foegele to line up, if not Brad Malone to line up, and then things start to roll. However, until Tyler Benson's really ready, you're probably going to see Brad Malone stick around for the time being, unless there's some kind of combination we're just not seeing here as Oilers fans. And I mean, that could be Klim Kostin, who could be coming up at some point when his visa issues are sorted out. So again, this is the best part about this Oilers team early on in this season is, hey, I don't care who's in the lineup as long as you're winning, right? 3 years ago we would have said, man, we need to get somebody better than Devon Shore, better than Derek Ryan, better than Brad Malone on that fourth line, or we aren't going to win any games. Well, we go in 11-6, so we are technically shorthanded, actually shorthanded, not technically, actually shorthanded with Derek Ryan and Brad Malone and Devon Shore as your bottom three forwards, and you find a way to win a game 5-3. Yeah, Connor McDavid takes over, but right, even when Connor McDavid used to take over, that wasn't enough to win. But when you solve the rest of the roster holes on this team, suddenly it's quite easy to win more hockey games, and I think that's going to be the intriguing part, is just how risky the Oilers play the roster situation over the next 2-3 weeks until we see Tyler Benson back, until we see Klim Kostin ready to go in action for the Oilers, and you get those $750 contracts in, and then you can talk about taking away Brad Malone, saving that $12,500 cap hit, and maybe you can start as the season starts going along, as long as you keep flip-flopping Devon Shore and Philip Broberg, who are 850, 863. You kind of see how the math starts working for the Oilers in that favor, as long as everybody stays healthy, as long as there's no more complications to the LTIR, and as long for the Oilers as there's time and space to keep winning and you aren't out there costing yourselves games because of doing what you're doing. So, folks, that's really all the news today. It's Devon Shore down to Bakersfield. You've got Philip Broberg up to the Oilers, and you've got yourself a potential lineup for tomorrow night's game against the Calgary Flames, the Battle of Alberta. Like I said, I've got a long way to go getting there tomorrow night, but we'll figure it out and we'll have ourselves a day. And I mean, aren't you jealous you're not at my ball wind-up? Quite honestly, I'm cooking Tostitos chicken tenders for the potluck. Should I do some spicy tenders? We'll leave that one up to a game time decision. There's always got to be one on Saturday. Folks, I'm Tyson. This is Dolynny TV. I'm up on out of here.